Recently, Taehyung was in Los Angeles for the Tour event on November 15th. It was exciting to see him as the brand's new ambassador. After so long, fans were able to see him again at the airport, and, as always, he looked incredible. His style, his presence, and that calm way he moved captivated everyone. Many commented on how happy the atmosphere felt, as if his mere arrival had filled the place with positive energy. Taehyung was kind and polite, even with his mask on, and apologized for wearing it, which made the reporters smile. With his characteristic humor, he joked with them about why they followed him so much, and that moment became one of the most talked about among those present. More than one person laughed at seeing him so relaxed, so himself. It was a relief that his departure was announced almost at the last minute. Thanks to that, the airport wasn't filled with frenzied crowds, and Taehyung was able to move around more calmly. It was clear that he enjoyed that little respite before returning to his schedule. He only had one day off at home, but even in that short time, he said he was working and recording. He's always been like that, dedicated, consistent, and committed to what he does, even if it means sacrificing rest. Many admired his commitment and felt tender imagining him making the most of every minute to give his best. On another note, yesterday was Pepero Day in Korea, a special day celebrated mainly among young people and couples, similar to Valentine's Day. It's customary to give chocolate-covered sticks as gifts, and there's also the famous Pepero game, where two people have to eat the same stick from opposite ends and try to leave the smallest piece possible. In the end, it almost always ends with a kiss, and just thinking about that makes more than one person remember certain moments between Taehyung and Jungkook. It's inevitable, because that connection has always been there, like a small, invisible thread that binds them. Among the memories that come back to mind most often is the one where Taehyung was wearing pants that looked like underwear and asked the staff to call Jungkook. But instead, they sent Jimin. The scene was as funny as it was significant, because when Jungkook found out that Taehyung had been looking for him, his reaction was impossible to hide. Everyone noticed how his gaze kept returning to Taehyung, almost involuntarily. It was as if his body betrayed him, and he couldn't conceal his interest. Jungkook couldn't tear his eyes away from Taehyung's bare legs, no matter how hard he tried. It was a moment filled with quiet tension, the kind that doesn't need words to be understood. Taehyung, for his part, seemed to enjoy it without saying a word, with that calmness of his that always disarms everyone. The people watching them couldn't help but feel part of something bigger, as if they were witnessing a shared secret. So this entire hate campaign against Jungkook wasn't something that came out of nowhere. It was planned by the very people who claimed to support him, even by some Jungkookers who once pretended to admire him. They hinted at it in many ways, and now those same people are attacking a fan simply for sharing the truth. They're pressuring her to delete her post, threatening to suspend her account, all because, according to them, their favorite, Jimin, was defamed. But what about Jungkook? What about everything he's endured? Jungkook was mercilessly dragged through the mud. He was insulted, blamed for things he never did, and bombarded with hate simply because a group decided to ruin his image by creating a fake video with artificial intelligence. Their desperation to damage his reputation was so great that they didn't even bother to remove the logo of the app they used to create it. It was obvious, but they didn't care. What mattered to them was destruction, getting attention at the expense of someone who had done nothing to them. This kind of behavior shows the extent to which some people can lose their minds. It's sickening and sad to see how certain fans can't stand to see Jungkook succeed, nor accept the idea that he might be in love with Taehyung. That's the root of so much hatred disguised as concern. It's not normal to attack someone simply for being happy or showing affection. Jungkook is a person with emotions, not a figure created to fulfill fantasies. He has the right to feel, to love, and to be himself without being turned into a target of lies. First and foremost, Jungkook is a human being. He has always shown respect, humility, and gratitude. He has never hurt anyone, and yet he is attacked as if he were worthless. What hurts the most is that those who claim to be his fans are the same ones who fabricate and share things to destroy him. It's hard to understand how someone can dedicate so much time to defaming such a transparent person. Jungkook has always shown that his heart is full of love, that he values others, and that he tries his best in everything he does. Seeing him go through all of this hurts deeply. It hurts to see how they tarnish his image, how they mock him, and how they try to extinguish what he represents. No one deserves something like this, least of all someone who has only worked hard and shared his art sincerely. I hope he can defend himself legally, that he does what he must to put a stop to it. Because it's not fair that this kind of abuse disguised as opinion continues to be allowed. I hope karma catches up with everyone who participated in this and that they understand the damage they've caused. Being a Taekooker isn't easy. Every day you have to deal with contempt, mockery, and misinformation. But even so, many are still here calmly defending them, without falling into the same traps they criticize. Because beyond the noise, what unites Taekookers is the connection that Jungkook and Taehyung have, a connection that doesn't need forced displays or empty words. It's evident in their gestures, in the way they look at each other, in the mutual respect they always show. Amidst so many lies, they remain authentic. And that's what makes them so special. Taehyung and Jungkook are not only talented, they are also two people who support and understand each other. That's why, despite the hate, the attempts to separate them or tarnish their reputation, Taekookers remain steadfast. Because when something is born from truth, no matter how many times they try to overshadow it, it always finds a way to shine. And in the end, what truly matters is not the opinion of those who hate, but the peace of those who remain sincere. Jungkook doesn't need to prove anything more. His character, his perseverance, and the way he keeps moving forward say it all. No campaign can erase what he represents to those who truly appreciate him. In an environment so full of falsehood, his authenticity and his bond with Taehyung remain a refuge for those who believe that genuine affection still exists. What's strange isn't what people see, but how they interpret it. Within the fandom itself, there seems to be an unwritten rule about who can do what. The same gesture, the same look, the same attitude, but the judgment changes depending on who it comes from. If it's Taehyung or Jungkook, then it's wrong, misinterpreted, criticized. But when Jimin does it, suddenly everything is seen as something cute or admirable, something that needs no explanation. And that's when you wonder if everyone is seeing the same thing, or if personal preferences end up dictating what each person considers right or wrong. It's not about comparing or putting one above another, but about recognizing that many times the boys do very similar things, but the reactions are never the same. Jungkook, first and foremost, is a person. A boy who has always shown respect, humility, and a transparent heart. He has worked since he was very young, he has grown up in front of everyone, and yet there are those who choose to see only what fits with their prejudices. It's hard to understand why someone who hasn't done any harm receives so much harshness, especially from those who claim to support him. There are times when it seems some forget that behind every smile or gesture is a real person, with emotions, with tiredness, with good days and not so good days. And the saddest thing is seeing how some of those who call themselves his fans are the same ones who end up sharing rumors or comments that hurt him. Despite all that, Jungkook remains the same, respectful, dedicated, and kind. He has always had a very sincere way of expressing himself, and that's evident in everything he does. He doesn't need to say much for his feelings to be understood. There's a quiet honesty about him that often goes unnoticed, but those who observe him closely can easily see it. He's someone who tries to do things right, who values every opportunity, and who doesn't give up even when everything seems overwhelming. And that's what makes him different, because even when he's attacked, he continues to show affection. Something similar happens with Taehyung, but in a different way. When they're near each other, the atmosphere shifts without them saying a word. It's not forced or planned, it simply happens. They seek each other out subtly, understanding each other with glances or small gestures that might go unnoticed by anyone else. It's this naturalness that makes every interaction feel so special. There's something about how they behave that conveys a unique comfort, a connection that needs no explanation or labels. If you observe them closely, you notice a kind of synchronicity between them that can't be faked. It's not that they do anything extraordinary, but rather that the everyday moments between them feel different. Every transmission, every small shared moment, has a distinct energy, as if they're both in their own space even when thousands of people are watching. It's not about romanticizing it, but about recognizing that there's a real connection, a way of being with each other that you don't see with anyone else.